Start now. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next Wasteless World Talks with Kevin and Bill and myself, a new term. And the term today, embrace or embrace. Kevin, I have you on the top of a screen, so you will be the first today. If you close your eyes and you hear the term embrace, what came first to your mind, please?
Embrace is a state of mind. It's where you open to whatever comes, be it good, be it bad, new situations, new people. So it's an open mind.
That's interesting. What about you, Bill?
Okay, so I see it on a number of different levels, as Kevin said, for the mind, physical embrace, and I wonder what is the opposite of embrace? Maybe reject?
Distance? I don't know. But you know that usually the term wakes me up in the morning. And this is why I set it up. But this time it was different. In one day, 3 companies from 2 countries, no, yes, 3 countries, 2 continents, wrote online on their website, "We embrace Industry 5.0." And I found them during the development control. And I know the word embrace, but I was not sure in this relationship. I was not sure. So I check it with Czech vocabulary. We have 10 different words for embrace, 10 different meanings. And we have never such a kind of term. So it was very interesting. We discussed it already in the noon discussion, and it was very interesting, all the levels and so on, the different approach to embrace, to the physical embrace. In China, the people are not used to embrace, to hug someone, not at all. In Philippines, not really. But it was so interesting to discuss that I'm really looking forward to our discussion. And as you said, Kevin, open mind, that's interesting. No one says this. We touch it, but no one name it this way.
That's interesting.
One thing I was
because that's the first thing I thought of, right?
There's one thing I was thinking from what Bill said about the opposite, and I was thinking that is embrace, is M a prefix? So you have the word, is M, E-M, is that a prefix? So brace, like brace yourself, and embrace is to accept. Just a thought.
Too linguistic for me. I do not have this knowledge in English, so that's why I am struggling with it. But it can be very interesting.
Yeah, so one of them is to welcome, to embrace, and the other is to prepare for impact in a way, which is brace.
That's interesting. If we speak about embrace in the business, does it mean that the companies is the message of the companies when they have it across the whole website that they are welcoming Industry 5.0 with open hands?
Yes.
I see. So maybe this is why they did not reply to my message, because they cannot write, if they have open hands, they cannot write on the keyboard. One of the companies was CGI, 14.6 billion company turnover in 2023.
Yeah, I think they mean embrace their version.
Embrace their version, right?
Yeah.
I don't care what definition you have. We're embracing our version.
Yeah. But I like generally. Do you know? I like the visualization of this stretch hands and not ability to write back. Right now, I do understand why so many do not reply to my messages, because they are so happy that they cannot put the hands back on the keyboard. So we have to develop another keyboards probably on the side.
Yeah, they're too busy embracing it.
So
Oh, it's okay. It's easy to embrace something when you get to define what it is that you're embracing. I embrace I embrace that concept. Which concept? Oh, I embrace the concept that I define, but you're defining it differently. So you should have two different words where you can embrace. I'll make up my own definition and I'll embrace that.
we came to, as a part of the noon discussion, I asked one of the expert in technology, Mariana generally, I asked her, do you think that there will be robots which will embrace, hug people? Because I don't know, if you look on the images generated by AI, usually named Industry 5.0 or in some connection, there is a hand of a robot and hand of human, and they are somehow, in some cases, they are even shaking the hands. But I have never seen a single of these images hugging a robot, hugging a person. But I have I have read about one robot which, instead of hugging, kill the man who was repairing him by pushing him. So hugging him so strong that he hugs him to the death. It was in Korea generally during some reparation. But it's quite interesting. And who was it? Tracy, I think she said, no, it was Leslie. She said, I don't think that robots will ever hug people, at least not in a way how we are using the emotion. Of course, Tracy mentioned that there was one of the, let's call it humanoid robot in Japan, was to carry the older patients. They have two hands, and they carry it. But for me, it's not embracing, not hugging. It was carrying, more or less carrying.
I suspect that they will hug um, in a couple of different contexts. One is robots don't have emotions, but their creators are trying to make it appear as though they have emotions. So a hug would be a good way to do that. There are robots that are designed to work in a hospital and to give, um, a conversation and comfort to patients, or even in the home, older people perhaps that get lonely. And one way to do that would be to make the patient or the old person feel better would be touch, hug. Um, and then also there are um, adult dolls. We've talked about that before. Those would have to. Those would have to hug, I think. So I
And I
vote
think there's
yes.
different kinds of embraces. There's the more formal in in England and America we shake hands. That's our version of an embrace, and therefore we avoid hugging altogether. But generally, a hug is more spontaneous, and I don't know how there can't be anything spontaneous about a programmed machine unless you consider programming spontaneous. But it seems to be the opposite.
I suspect that the programmers are working on that. That is, if the human person says something that the robot deems to be funny or within the definition of humorous, or uh, I think that a robot could be programmed to recognize emotion in a person. I don't know that they'll ever be able to. show emotion, genuine emotion, but to recognize emotion. And in response to recognizing emotion from the human, then perhaps a hug would be appropriate. Or there's a chain of events that could lead up to a hug that you might be able to program that robot to recognize.
And I think it already exists in some way. I think it was even integrated in very basic way in Tamagotchi, where they reflect to whether the user was angry or not. They switch the colors. There are screens which angry eyes on the screen or happy eyes and so on. I think there already was something like that. And even in the cars was implemented to recognize when you are dizzy or drunk. Some recognition software today can do the emotions. I have seen several videos, maybe from the same location, a store, and on the door, on the glass door of the store was written "Smile to enter." And of course, the people hurry up. The door did not enter. Firstly, when they smile, it opened. Free or free for smile or something like that. It was quite funny. And what was interesting, that every person on the catch on the camera and present it after, there, I am sure there has been many who say, no, I don't want to be there. But they laugh after. They have a good feeling after that. So I think you are right, Bill.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those. I saw a supermarket in Denmark that if you didn't smile at the checkout, they wouldn't serve you. And then there was a store in Russia where you had to smile to be let in. And like you say, it changes people's attitudes. Once they smile and they're just in a better mood.
And why not? This is part of technology I will welcome, to be honest. They do not need to scan your eyes or whatever, just a smile, just a gesture, which is nice. Why not? But speaking about your work, both of you has written books and so on. Do you expect to be embraced by the readers? No, and how do you recognize it?
I write under a different name, so I'm avoiding it.
I wrote some of mine under different names also, for exactly the reason I did not want to be recognized or embraced. No, like I think I said before, I write for myself, not for, and I read something the other day that said that only 30% of people have read a book this last year. Only 30% of adult people read a book this year. So I don't expect to be embraced. I don't even expect to be recognized by the vast majority of those who have opened a book. Some percentage don't ever read it. They get to the first page of the first chapter and then they put it down. So it's individual, and I don't expect anything. How about you, Kevin?
I remember when my first book was published, they said you have to have a social media presence. So you have to be on Facebook, you have to be on LinkedIn. And I was thinking, if I'd lived the same life as Hemingway, then maybe that could be quite interesting. But, most writers are just ordinary and quiet people who have nothing to say except their work. And so anything social, I don't think it's interesting. My personality, it doesn't have anything to do with the book itself, if you see what I mean. Me, the work is the work, and the two are separate things.
You see, my posts are very frequent on LinkedIn. So we should do three. I do 300. So slightly different. But what is interesting, because I have the free account, you can see 5 people who visit, 5 last people who visited your profile. And I have learned how to, in some way, trigger the people. You know, I wrote their name, I link it, and so on, and and then I look how they work and how they reflect, and if they are there. And today it was quite crazy because there was a lady who was a candidate for the last Czech president. Generally, she's right now in Brussels. She was a dean of university, young lady generally, and there was a comment by my side which was not exactly positive. It was not negative. It was a question, and immediately her profile look at my LinkedIn profile. I said, okay, so she's there. But then I received like from her on this comment, and I'm sure it's not her profile. So somebody is managing it, and because she will not like what I said. But it's quite interesting. But I have to be very fast because every 5-10 minutes there is a new list of 5 people. So because there's a lot of, but it's quite interesting. And if it's in written, of course, if it's a book, you do not have this immediate interaction. So it's quite interesting. But I don't do it to be embraced. I do it to be visible. Because for me and Industry 5.0, my name, I don't care about my name, but about Industry 5.0, it is still important. When it starts to be only in one direction, I work with my name, I will stay with human, and I will be happy. As you are.
Actually, it's interesting with embrace. You know, a lot of the rules that we live under are mandatory. We have to do this, we have to do that. And do we embrace them? I don't think we do. I think that it's some things are forced upon us and others we can embrace. But there's a fine line because it's like a scale, I think, from being forced to do something. If you're a realist, of course, you're going to have to embrace what's being forced upon us. So maybe there is more than one kind of embracing. Some are welcoming, some are mandatory.
If it's forced on us, then we do it because it's forced on us. If we embrace it, then we're doing it because we choose to do
it. One of my questions in the noon discussion, can we embrace weakness? And the answer was, weakness is human. So
sometimes weakness is good. I'm hard pressed to come up with an example, but everything can be either good or bad. But in our society, weakness is not allowed. You're not allowed to show weakness.
Do you think that in one family or in one society or in one close society, the people embrace the same? Or they are something what all of us, all humans embrace, something what connect all of us. What it will be? Will it be love, hate? I don't know, just now, just thinking aloud.
I would like to think it is openness and welcoming of strangers. I think that's a great human.
On the other hand, if you speak about openness and you go and you listen to politicians and giants and so on, this is the last one what they will embrace, of course. But the question is, I ask about humans, of course. And these are usually not humans anymore.
So those they just embrace money and power. That's all they're interested in. They're not. They don't have many redeeming human qualities at all. I don't think.
And is it embracing money, really?
I would say so. I think I don't have the mind of a politician, but I've imagined that they do. They embrace more power. I think money is a welcome byproduct of power, or money actually buys you power.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Money, I think, is a substitute for power. Power is what they want, and why do they want power? They want power uh, to to be heard, to be able to tell you what to do. Um, so it's not so much the money, although money will get you onto that list of the 10 richest people, or whatever list there are. Elon Musk is the richest man on earth. Uh, so that's a feeling, that, that's a surrogate for a feeling of power, of money. It comes through the money, but it's really a feeling of power or achievement. Um, but but that's not a power. I mean, you can look at it, it's not a power. It's a weakness to need to be on that list, to need to be able to demonstrate authority over other people. It's a need, and it's also a fear. So it's it, money and power are good, and they are bad, but really it's a terrible weakness. It's a terrible weakness to have that need to be superior to other people. Right? Am I making any sense on that? I mean, money is something I can hold in my hand, and I use it to buy groceries, or whatever. Um, but it takes on evil sides when you think that you have to have more, you know?
I think it's exactly the same like with the fire, and I mentioned it many times.
Yes, yes.
Fire is a
That,
great
that,
servant, but a very bad master. Money is a great servant, but when it become master, and this is what you just described,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
then you just serve only money. You become slave of money. And if we have nothing, we have we are not so endangered like the people who has everything. What they can take from me, I have nothing. So they can take nothing, but they can take from him billions and whatever, cars, planes, whatever. If you don't have anything, if you have nothing, not don't have anything, if you have nothing, what can be taken from you? What have
Then
you?
you have a strength.
You are very strong, and they are, the people who are living all around the globe. Many of those are so strong they just don't realize.
I was listening this morning actually to a talk by a French historian who's analyzing the the dramatic change in the world order, and he was saying that America is now being run by oligarchs, and is why do oligarchs want to run a country? And he said that for the very rich, they see it as a right. Once they've reached a certain amount of wealth, they see it as their right to be able to dictate how others should live and decide for others, which is probably the least qualifying attribute you could bring to a government. The more greedy you are, the better you are at running the country. It doesn't make any sense at all.
I was just shortly listening yesterday to the first how it's called when the people stay in front of the US Senate and they have to answer the questions and so on. So yesterday was about the DOGE, so this Department of Governmental Expenses. I cannot listen for
Efficiencies.
yeah. I cannot listen for too long, but it was quite interesting, quite interesting. And then I have listened to Bernie Sanders again, the senator. I invited him to our call, and it was very interesting. It was very interesting the position. And the same day, I have in talks about nothing a Czech dean of a university, 66, but he served for the last 10 years in politics. And it was a very interesting discussion. I never had a politician. All politicians refuse, and just now I refuse to send them invites. So, but he was very interesting because in his mind, you see the struggle between the academic, between the, let's call it the real life, and the politician. And it was very interesting. A very interesting discussion, to be honest. Very interesting. He lived for some time in the US as well. So it was very interesting. So,
have you ever heard of a poor politician?
Poor politician.
Do you know any? Apart from Bernie Sanders, perhaps?
I know one. The poorest president in the world. He was the president in some South American country. I can send you the link. I have written an article about it. It was very interesting. He rejected everything what was offered to him. He lived on his farm. He gave all money back generally, other salary and so on. Very interesting story about this man. And he really changed the country. I do not remember. It's a few years ago. And this is the only one.
So it sounds different to the rest.
But it's quite interesting, as you said, that these people embrace generally money and power, and they feel to have the right to rule the world.
And there's really one really interesting thing, and this will be interesting to see the difference between our modern society and the society of 150 years ago. The great American capitalists, the people who built the railways, made the steel industry, all these, the people who industrialized America and made it what it is, they became known as the robber barons because they had accumulated so much wealth. But the interesting thing is that these days history doesn't call them robber barons. And that's because all of them gave their fortunes away back to society, which, if you think of Carnegie, you think of the Carnegie endowment all across the US. And it's amazing what these people did. They acquired wealth that not even our modern oligarchs will be able to acquire. But they gave to a man, they gave it all away, which is quite fantastic. And I wonder if the next generation will.
And that example goes beyond Andrew Carnegie and so on to the guy who invented the polio vaccine, right? He refused to patent, right? Because he wanted it to be free, open to everybody. The guy who did who invented the three the seatbelt that we use now, which has three branches to it, right? Refused to patent it because he wanted it to be open that everybody could have, it could be available to everybody. And that's a mindset. It's a what is my duty as a human being, whether it comes from God or not, but what is my duty to give back? And now it's how can I patent it and protect it and make it faster than the next guy so I can make more money.
No, just before we started, I watched a video I can share it with you. A Canadian company called Edison Motors. They decided to build for semi truck generally new type of engine, but this is the same type of engine which is in the trains for a long time. So it has fuel, but as well the fuel is used to generally recharge the battery inside. It's lighter, cheaper, whatever. 100 years old technology, even more. But nobody did it. And what they do, they put every single step online for free, so the people can see, watch, comment. And they already have two trucks running generally in test, very heavy duty trucks generally. But it's so interesting. It's exactly the way giving back before I accumulate the fortune. And I think this is the difference. Right now, if you would like to be on Forbes ladder or wherever, you have to accumulate and accumulate more, because then you go up and you will be on the top. These people don't do it this way. I don't do it this way. You don't do it this way. We give away before, so we give permanently. We share, and I think this is the difference. The accumulation of wealth. For what? For being on a ladder? Every gardener can be on a ladder when he pick up the apples. And these guys fight to be the first on the top. Have you ever stand on the top of a ladder, on the very last, I don't know how it's called. I think no one of us stand there, because it will be very unstable, very unstable. But these people fight to be there.
And as you stand on that last rung of the ladder, it's you're fear. You're full of fear. You're full
The
of fear.
point, yes. And this is exactly, I know you do not want to talk about spaceman, but ER. It's crazy. DJ Trump. Elon, second name is Rini Musk, ER Musk. And the guy who was right now in Europe, it's JD Vance, I think is his name. So it's just crazy how it come together. But what I would like to say, it is quite interesting what you say about the fear. Because if you look what is being done by this dog department, it's spreading the fear not to be catched. We have in Czech another saying, I don't know if I will be able to translate. The chief, somebody who steals, is calling loudest, catch the chief. You have probably similar.
We do. I can't bring it to mind, but
It doesn't matter.
yeah, it doesn't matter, but it is the same thing.
And that's exactly what is right now going on, and they make so many mistakes.
Yeah, yeah, and don't they understand that he who screams thief loudest is the biggest thief? But they don't
Exactly.
understand. But they don't understand that.
You know, it's I do understand that the young guys in his team, which are 20, 19, whatever, they don't understand. They have no experience. They know to work with data. Yes, that's great. But that's all.
There's 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 something right down the road. I don't know if it's a year from now, 4 years from now, but you can feel it that they're off on a. Uh, I don't know why other people can't recognize it, but it's coming. It's coming. So
I I think maybe they missed the point. What to embrace? If it's not the wealth and the money, What should we all embrace?
And they don't see it. We need to, we have to embrace other humans. We have to make their life easier, and it's so easy to do that. A smile, that right there, not yelling and fear, but offering a smile or an ear. Just listen. People in such panic and difficult times, an ear. What did that just cost you?
You know, one of the Onichemos, the guy who was with me in the talk about nothing, he wrote today very interesting, very short Facebook post. He wrote, everybody is listening to Donald Trump, except of those who listen to talks about nothing with Michael Rada.
That's good.
It's, you know, it is so. We are here not because we collected millions of views and whatever. We don't care. To be honest, I don't care at all. And you don't care. We are here because we can talk human to human. And we do it. Okay, we cannot sit in one room. Fine. We have one room. It's digital. And what? We get used to. And it is so, so great. And I cannot expect every single week. You know, tomorrow, I say to everyone who I welcome to the talks about nothing that I do record from 5 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, my standard working day. And the guy tomorrow, he choose 5 in the morning, the first one in 226 recordings. So I really have to be here at 5 in the morning to start the talk. Nobody did before. One was at 6. Now I am here still in the office, but it was quite interesting. You know. And we have 2 minutes left.
Goes fast.
2 minutes. Yeah, I would say that the one thing we need to embrace is stability rather than change. I think that we need to slow down a bit.
That's the degrowth, you know. The diamond will never become a diamond if it will grow all the time. It will be coal, maybe, or whatever, crude oil, but it will never, ever become diamond if it does not stop to grow. It's so simple. We just have to put it in front of the people to understand, because they have this vision, so we have to put it here in the middle to understand. And of course, this is difficult, because if the people look this way, they will see all the images are behind me. If they look this way, they will see only their own face. So we must put it in the middle of their own face to recognize. But because of the last minute, I have to thank you for a next great discussion and talk. And of course, have a nice time for your waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free. And dear listeners, be human and embrace the human being, same as Bill and Kevin do it every single moment of their life, same as me. See you next week on next topic. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.